Thom Hartmann here on the news. You need to know this. On Thursday, the United States Senate approved its so-called comprehensive immigration bill. It was the first significant attempt to fix our broken immigration system in over 25 years, and it includes a long-awaited path to citizenship. Senate Democrats passed the measure with the support of 14 Republicans, and the crowd in the Senate chamber erupted in chants of "Yes, we can." While many are cheering the bill as a breakthrough in the immigration debate, which has been stalled for years, others are concerned about new border security measures in the proposal. Those provisions, dubbed the border surge, include 20,000 new border agents and 700 new miles of fencing and electronic surveillance of our southern border. The price tag for these increased security measures is nearly $40 billion. Lawmakers also included a 13-year path to citizenship for undocumented immigrants, which will be implemented once border security measures are in place. Some immigration advocates are calling the security provisions extreme and expensive, while others explain that the measures are necessary to gain Republican votes. Now that the Senate has approved their version, the Republican-controlled House of Representatives will start working on their own version of immigration reform, which will probably include even more extreme security measures, more money for the security industry, and remove any path to citizenship. Immigration advocates are worried that the House Republicans will purposely include controversial measures in an effort to doom the bill to failure. Millions of Americans and undocumented immigrants are watching this effort closely and are remaining hopeful that Congress will finally fix our broken immigration system. In Screwed news, last-minute attempts to stop student loan interest rates from doubling failed to meet the July 1st deadline. On the last day of the legislative session before the July 4th break, Democratic senators introduced a bill to give lawmakers another year to come up with a long-term solution for student loans. However, their attempt was unsuccessful. They'll try to work on the issue retroactively when Congress returns on July 13th. Currently, the student loan interest rate is 3.4%, but it is only days away from doubling to 6.8%. With millions of students already struggling to meet loan obligations, the higher interest rate will greatly increase their burden. Students and their families have been watching the effort for months, and they're hoping that somehow Congress can pull it off after the break. In the best of the rest of the news, just days after the Supreme Court sided with equality in two landmark gay marriage cases, the court rejected two more cases involving same-sex couples. The justices declined to review an appeals court ruling which struck down an Arizona law that blocked same-sex spouses of state employees from receiving domestic partnership benefits. So the lower court's ruling stands, and same-sex partners are entitled to those benefits. The Supreme Court also declined to hear a challenge to Nevada's ban on same-sex marriage, which means the case will be argued in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, which has previously ruled in favor of same-sex couples in other cases, specifically the Prop 8 case. The Supreme Court's decision to decline these cases does not have a sweeping impact like DOMA and the Prop 8 rulings. However, they are victories for equality advocates, and they are more evidence that our nation is rapidly moving down the path to full equality. On Wednesday, a healthcare activist in Pennsylvania was arrested for exercising his right to free speech. As that state is considering legislation to expand Medicaid under Obamacare, which Republican Governor Tom Corbett has said he won't support, activists gathered to put pressure on lawmakers and the governor. An activist by the name of A.J. Marin was arrested for writing the message, "Corbett has health care, we should too," in chalk on the sidewalk outside the governor's mansion. He was charged with disorderly conduct for writing, quote, "a derogatory remark about the governor," end quote. Pointing out the fact that Governor Corbett has health care, which is paid for by the taxpayers, is far from derogatory, but that's beside the point. Mr. Marin has the constitutional right to protest and to speak out against his government. Political speech is one of our most fundamental rights, and it is the one that must be protected. Yesterday, the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals said Hobby Lobby may have the right to deny employees access to reproductive health care. In a unanimous ruling, the 10th Circuit Court directed the lower court to hear Hobby Lobby's request for an injunction to block parts of Obamacare. The craft store has attempted to claim a religious exemption, which would allow it to deny insurance coverage to certain forms of birth control. The new ruling will allow Hobby Lobby to avoid government fines while challenging the requirement to provide birth control they say violates their religious beliefs. A spokeswoman for the group representing Hobby Lobby called the ruling a resounding victory for religious freedom. But Barry Lynn of Americans United for Separation of Church and State said, "This isn't religious freedom. It's the worst kind of religious oppression." And finally, this 4th of July, the city of Kirkland, Washington will take careful steps to avoid a conflict of national symbols. The city has announced they are moving their annual fireworks display from its usual location to ensure that a pair of baby bald eagles is not bothered by the noise. To ensure the eaglets aren't startled, Kirkland is moving their pyrotechnics display a half-mile from the nest. The city has also opted to use a more visual fireworks display to further reduce the noise, and will set up an observation site to allow visitors to sneak a peek at the tiny American emblems. Apparently, just because eagles and fireworks are both symbols of American pride, not a good idea for them to share the same sky. And that's the way it is today, Friday, June 28th, 2013. I'm Thom Hartmann on the news.